Dude, you're literally me. No, we're not. We're literally different characters with different art styles from different games. You're literally me. Okay, I'm out of here. What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series Deluxe class Target exclusive More Than Meets the Eye Devastation SIDESWIPE, which, as you can see, is the millionth reuse of this mold. Yeah, ever since 2019, this mold in specific has seen multiple repaints. Whether it was different repaints for SIDESWIPE or just repainting the mold for a different character, Hasbro basically milked this mold as much as they could. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't blame them. The toy's pretty good. On a side note, I would also like to point out that I've never played Transformers Devastation, and I don't really plan on doing so anytime soon, but I'll still collect the Devastation-themed Studio Series figures, cause why not? They're pretty cool. Before we take a closer look at the figure, we'll take a quick look at the packaging, but before we do that, this video's Bible verse is from 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, and it reads, "Casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you." With that being said, let's move on to the packaging. And since this figure is a Target exclusive, also a More Than Meets the Eye themed product, so is the packaging. On the front, you get this nice artwork of SIDESWIPE in both robot mode and alt mode. The rest is all words, names, and logos. Same thing for the top. On the left side of the packaging is a zoomed in look to the artwork for SIDESWIPE. On the right side of the packaging is an extension to the artwork from the front. And lastly, on the back of the packaging shows the product shot of the actual product that you get inside, along with the top left corner showcasing what SIDESWIPE looks like in the actual game. That'll be it for packaging. Now moving back to the figure. Starting off, the painting and sculpting is pretty good. Since this is a G1-esque SIDESWIPE figure, of course he's going to bear the usual red, white, and a little bit of black in terms of the paint scheme. In terms of details, the head sculpt looks nice. The limbs, of course, are consistently blocky. The torso, however, is a little different. When it comes to kibble, this figure obviously has some fairly visible alt mode parts. Thankfully, they're stored on this figure nicely well. However, I'm not gonna lie, the legs do look a bit funky. In terms of QC, for my copy at least, I'm a little impressed with how everything holds up for this toy, as nothing falls apart. Also, did I forget to mention that this figure has only one part painted in a cel-shaded way? Since this figure is supposed to be Devastation themed, the thing about Transformers Devastation is that they carried a lot of the cel-shaded aesthetic with the characters and the backgrounds and the overall environment they were in. Most of these Devastation themed Studio Series figures, however, don't necessarily showcase the cel-shaded paint all that well. For example, do you see any cel shade here? Of course not. Not unless you take a look at this figure from the back. But still, I think they should have thrown in some form of cel shade on the front. Moving on to accessories. Starting off with this figure's primary accessory, which is painted in silver. Here he is equipped with his gun. As you can see, there's multiple slots you can store the gun on, aside from just the arm's hand. And for accessory storage, there's this nice little slot that you just simply plug the gun onto, and yeah, there you go. The second accessory that this figure comes with is a missile launcher with a removable missile. Not only can you have SIDESWIPE hold the missile launcher with his hand, but you could also have the missile launcher stored on SIDESWIPE's shoulder. Personally, I recommend storing the missile specifically on the right shoulder, because when you store the missile launcher on the left shoulder, no thanks to this black tab right here, it kind of obstructs SIDESWIPE's head from moving around. You could also store the missile launcher in the back. Before I move on, I forgot to mention that since the silver blaster has a slot all the way in the back, you could get a little creative. Moving on to articulation, ball joint at the head, full rotation at the arm. If you're wondering if the shoulder can be on a butterfly joint, not really. Bend at the shoulder, bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, the wrist can move up and down, waist swivel, the legs can spread, the leg can move forward and can move backwards. Thigh swivel, bend at the knee. Lastly, the foot can move up and down, well, barely, and can rock from side to side. That's pretty much it for articulation. Now moving on to size comparison. SIDESWIPE, SIDESWIPE, another SIDESWIPE, Devastation Optimus, the Ground Soldier, the Elite Seeker, and to compare him alongside other G1-ish Autobots that I own, here he is next to Hot Rod, Jazz, Cup, Blur, Warpath, Cliffjumper, Blaster, RC, Ironhide, Prowl, Ratchet, Brawn, Bumblebee, Preceptor, Springer, Optimus Prime. Here he is next to Ultra Magnus, which, as you can see, is a little too big for the camera. And lastly, here he is next to the other 3 Devastation-themed Studio Series figures that I own. Now, I didn't include Wheeljack onto this comparison because I am saving him for his own review. Aside from that, in terms of more Devastation-esque Studio Series figures for 2026, I believe we're only getting one next year, that being a Bumblebee. I don't know if it's going to be the new Bumblebee mold from last year, or it's going to be a completely new mold. They could reuse the 2024 Studio Series Bumblebee mold. I could see that happening. But aside from that, be sure to leave a comment down below what other characters from Devastation should we get in Studio Series form. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below which Studio Series Devastation figure out of the 4 Devastation figures we have over here so far do you like the most. And now it's time we get down to transformation, which is super straightforward. Starting off, you might as well just straighten out the limbs, bring out this whole assembly all the way, bring down this black piece, bring the arms out, bring these red flaps all the way out. To fold in the arms onto these hollow gaps, we're just going to start with the right arm. What you're going to do first is close in the hand, close in the elbow, and then as you're closing this in, you're going to want to bring the arm down like so. Once you've done the same thing for the other arm, you're going to rotate the top part of the body 180. After that, go ahead and bring out the black panels from the legs, close in the silver feet all the way, collapse the 2 legs together, and then go ahead and shift this whole assembly, make sure that it tabs in all the way, collapse the black panels together, and then lastly, go ahead and close in these 2. And here you have the Studio Series Devastation Sideswipe in his alt mode, which I believe is a Lamborghini of some sort from the 80s. I'm not gonna lie, it's a nice looking car. Forgot to mention, for some reason for my copy, despite everything being completely transformed, for some reason half of it seems a little disconnected from the other half. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that. Also, there's a bunch of these black dots around this part of the alt mode. I'm not sure what's up with that. Aside from that, this figure looks a little more cel-shaded now that you can see the actual cel-shaded part, since this figure is in its alt mode, of course. As I said earlier in this review, I still think they should have added more of it. For weapon storage, you could go ahead and plug the gun on the top of the car, or you could plug it on the side if you want. Same thing with the missile launcher. Oh yeah, and if you want, you could also do this with the weapon storage. And in case you're wondering, the instructions suggest to store the weapons from the sides. And I can't really think of anything else to say for the alt mode. Now let's just move on to the brief alt mode comparison. Here he is next to the War for Cybertron Sideswipes alt mode, the Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipes alt mode. Here's the Dark of the Moon version. And then lastly, here they all are together. I think it's cool that we have 4 Studio Series Sideswipes. However, if Hasbro decides to make a Studio Series 86 Sideswipe, I think that one should be its own mold. Let's put this one to rest. Anyways, be sure to leave a comment down below which alt mode out of the 4 alt modes I have over here do you like the most. And that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much all I had to say for the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Target Exclusive More Than Meets the Eye Devastation Sideswipe. Overall, he's still a really cool figure. If you haven't already gotten a copy or a paint variant of this mold yet, then I don't see a reason why you shouldn't pick up this variant. If you're looking to pick this figure up, you can pick him up over at Target, since he's a Target exclusive. I recommend going to the store to pick him up, because he does cost a little more in terms of taxes and shipping if you go ahead and order this figure online. He should be available to pick up in stores, but again, Target stores do vary in terms of stock. So, yeah, as I usually like to say, happy hunting. Aside from that, I do hope Hasbro does in fact retire this mold. After all, this figure is like 6 years old. And I think it would be great for them to revisit the G1 Sideswipe design in a brand new mold, where he doesn't look too flat. But that's just me. be sure to leave a comment down below if you think they should or shouldn't do a remold of SIDESWIPE. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below what you guys think of this figure. Do you like him? Are you going to pick him up? Do you not like him? Are you not going to pick him up? And with that being said, if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another upload. Let me know how I did in this Reviewdeo, and most importantly, thank you guys so much for 15,000 subscribers. That's insane, and I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless. Teo!